Hey guys, I know we teach a lot of things here at Skill Capped, and when playing it can be really hard to apply all of it since you're thinking about so many things at once. So what you should do is, try to apply one thing at a time, and once you have it down, move to the next concept. To choose what concepts to focus on, start with the most important of course. Today I'm going to run you through the most important concepts that I see low elo players still don't have down yet, and without them, they will never be able to progress.
But before we do that, let's be honest, this is you playing your 10th game of League of Legends solo queue, and this is a picture of your match history. But we can change that at skillcapped.com, link in the description below. Now back to the video.
I'm going to use gameplay from my Smurf in low plat to show you. In this game, I'm playing Yone vs Riven. This Riven doesn't get outplayed mechanically in this lane, it's all just fundamental concepts. And this is in plat, so I don't want to hear that the players you go against don't make these mistakes. Everyone I go against makes them, somehow, even in this elo. But let's get into it. At the start of the lane, we have core concept number 1. Who's going to control the lane? Whoever gets control of the lane at level 1 will control it for the next 2 levels as well. Control just means they are at an advantage, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So as laning begins, I'm auto-attacking minions to get the push advantage. Then, when Riven walks up to auto this minion, I hit her with a Q. If we watch that back, we have a concept to talk about that I wouldn't say is one of the core need to know or you'll never climb concepts, but the higher elo you get, the more important it will be. I'm going to use a term from fighting games called footsies. It's this back and forth movement I'm doing while hitting this minion. This isn't just random clinking. I'm constantly moving myself forward to a spot where if Riven walks up into my Q range, it will be a good trade for me since her backline won't aggro me. Also, I'm making sure I don't get in melee range of her, since she wins a burst trade using her Q and auto resets. Footsies is basically spacing. Anyways, after hitting her with my Q, I move into the brush to drop minion aggro. And while I'm doing that, Riven makes a big mistake. She starts using her Q on the minions. As soon as she does that, I now have control of the lane, like we talked about. She can no longer contest anything that I do. My Q cooldown is very short, and notice I've only used it to poke her. I haven't used it on any minions. Riven using her Q on minions, with it being a much longer cooldown than mine, is a big mistake. But even when I watch low elo Yone players, they do the same thing. They think they are just stacking up their tornado. No, that's all wrong. Just because something is a short cooldown, doesn't mean you can just use it whenever. You will see throughout the lane, especially in the early levels, all of my Qs have a purpose. And I'll tell you why I use each one. But the point is, every ability you use has a trade-off and it needs to have a purpose. Anyways, since I have control now, I'm just auto-attacking minions while waiting for Riven's third Q to be used or for it to time out. As soon as she uses it, watch how my positioning changes. You see how I'm using the fact that she has no abilities to push her off the wave? This might seem like it's not doing anything, but I want you to look at something else now. Look how many minions each of us have. She has more than me, meaning she's out pushing me technically. That's the thing, by pushing her off the wave, I get control of it and can easily get the push back in my favor. Before I go back to the wave, I try to poke her with my Q, but miss. Then I continue to auto the minions. This makes our waves even, and then Riven jumps in for a trade as her Q comes back up. This brings us to core concept number 2. Understanding trading patterns for your matchup. This sounds complicated, but is not really. This matchup, for example, I'm Yone with Lethal Tempo versus Riven with Conqueror. In a long trade, with my lethal tempo, attack speed, and short Q cooldown, I will win. In a very short burst trade, she will win. You should be breaking this down for every matchup so you know how you want to trade. Riven played this one right and disengaged after she used her Qs. But I would have ran her down. But her next wave was coming, so I was forced to back off. Either way though, after this, I see Riven walk from the far brush to this middle one. I immediately knew what was going to happen from here. Her doing that was a very aggressive move. She's putting herself right next to me basically. The thing is, she shouldn't be posturing aggressively at all. I have control of the lane, and this brings us to core concept number 3, which you have heard plenty of times, but even in plat, these players still don't have this down. Core concept number 3 is level 2 advantage. You need to be tracking level 2 every single game, literally. If you or the enemy ever hit level 2 and you weren't 100% prepared for it and ready for it, you don't have the concept down. You should know every single time right before they hit level 2. It decides so many lanes, it's crazy. You have to be able to do this or you can't progress. Anyways, like I said, when she did that, I knew she wasn't paying attention to who would hit level 2 first. So I just ignore her and auto a minion to soften it up and get ready for my level 2 spike. Because of the aggressive move she made, it made me think she was going to look to jump in here with Q to either trade or get these low health minions. So I'm not rushing to hit level 2. I'm just getting the minion low, then waiting for her to overextend. Even though technically, she is already overextended. I could just kill the minion and run her down now, but I had a feeling she would put herself in an even worse spot because of how she moved to the middle brush. And as expected, she walks up like this, and as soon as she does, I kill the minion to level up. If we pause, look where she is as I hit 2. Obviously, she wasn't thinking about level 2 at all. She's actually behind me as I level up. At this point, it's time to all in. I make sure to hit her and move forward towards her tower, as I know she has to run to it. And in the middle of the trade, she hits level 2, but it doesn't matter. She's forced to flash away. If I had Ignite, I would have just flashed as well and finished her, but I brought TP this game. After she flashes, I just go back to the wave. She could recall and TP back to lane, but our health is pretty much the same, so I figured she wouldn't. I just focus on clearing the wave to give me a minion advantage, and as I do it, notice how Riven walks here. This is another very weird aggressive movement. In my mind, I thought she's either trolling or I'm getting ganked. Turns out she was just trolling, so I walk with my wave ready to use Q. She should never be this far up when her wave is dying. She uses her E to dodge my Q, just barely though. But that's still not worth it for her. This is what I mean by every ability has a trade-off. Now I can poke her when she goes for any last hit and she doesn't have her shield. And that could have easily been avoided, as her walking up like she didn't accomplish anything. So since her E is down, as she walks up for this minion, I hit her with my W and Q. I want to dive her after I crash the cannon wave coming, so I want to get as much health as possible from her. But you can see how wasting her E just made her lose HP that she really needs right now. Every ability and movement needs to have a purpose. As the cannon waves get here, I'm just spamming my Q in the wave to try and crash it so I can dive before she hits level 3. The problem is, as of right now, my Qs aren't going to be synced for when the wave crashes, meaning I won't have a tornado ready if I use it here. So I let the tornado time out. Then use Q, making sure not to hit all the minions as I need to use one more Q. Sadly, the minions die too fast, so this dive is a little bit harder than it should be. If I had my third Q, this is very easy, since she has no flash. I approach her ready to dive anyways, but she hits level 3 and I actually misplay using my E like this. I was trying to dodge her W, but I should have just held it. I could use it to kill her if I use her next wave coming to stack up my Q. But now, one of my most important abilities will be on cooldown for 21 seconds. Also, she chunks me a bit here, but I make sure to trade back with my W to get a little bit of damage returned. Now I'm basically spamming Q off cooldown and playing careful when it's down. I want to continue crashing the waves to prepare to dive when my E comes back up. This concept isn't just a Yone concept though. You can think of Yone E like Jack's E here. You can't really dive anyone without Jack's E a lot of the time, or Urgot E. Every champion has an ability that is really important and has a pretty big cooldown. But I have my tornado ready at this point. My W and E are on cooldown, and her abilities are up now, so I don't use this tornado. I'm saving it in case she tries to jump in. After it times out, I start stacking up my tornado again to prepare for my E. And I make sure to do it from safety, giving Riven no chance to jump in. After I use that Q, she starts approaching like this, which made me think she's either trolling again or I'm getting ganked, just like before. She can't kill me here, and in low elo, it's hard to tell if they are griefing or baiting for their jungler. I go into the brush and wait for her to face check me, which will definitely be death for her. But she just walks to here, so I hit her with W. Then as I jump in with E and Q, Vi shows up. I know Riven doesn't have flash though, so I just follow her and Q flash to finish her off for first blood. Obviously I'm going to die to Vi here, but that's fine. This was totally worth it, and I can snowball the lane. Before we wrap this up though, think about this. Normally in top lane, whoever wins level 1 controls the lane for the first 3 or 4 waves. Then they crash it on the tower, right? After that, it will start slow pushing back. This is when the other top laner gets control of the lane. They start slow pushing it back, they have the minion advantage, and then they get to run their game plan. And the person that was first pushing has to be careful. But because Riven messed up so many core concepts in the first 3 levels, she never got that chance. That's how almost every lane goes when I play in Plat or below. Alright guys, like I said, you have to have these concepts down or you can't progress. They are the very basic fundamentals. Focus on applying one at a time before trying to apply the advanced ones.
Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skill-Capped. So, we offer a 5-division rank-up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving.
But that's going to bring us to the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.